What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if Black Widow should release on Disney Plus. Now, this was kind of brought about from Disney, one of Disney's own investors, right? Who over the past couple of days, I think on Thursday, had floated the idea that Disney should just put this thing on Disney Plus. That he doesn't know why, or he doesn't agree with them in pushing these movies back. He just thinks that you should release it on Disney Plus, and it's an interesting discussion, and it's something we've talked about even on this channel, right, when we talked about if movie theaters are doomed, the difference between releasing it in theaters, trying to help theaters stay alive, what's going to happen with theaters in general, and then the streaming thing. What are kind of long-term ramifications of doing that? So, okay, when it comes to Black Widow, we can talk about obviously this specifically. Here's the deal. This comes down to a movie, and I've said this before. I'm excited for it. I've been excited for it for a very, very long time. But this is becoming a movie. And I think Wonder Woman is honestly kind of following it too, where it's like it's honestly getting more annoying than it is. Like my excitement has done nothing but go down with these films, and my annoyance level has done nothing but go up. And again, not all of it's their fault, considering what's happened around the world and the movie theaters and all that stuff. It's not entirely their fault, but as we've talked about, I think with a lot of these films, you're going to have to just take hits because eventually, like I said, even with the Wonder Woman video, when do you decide that you're just going to put, like January or February are like 15 movies just going to kind of come together, these companies, and say, yeah, this seems like the right month. Let's just start doing this. Let's put all these movies out. Well, one, they'd all be competing with each other. Two, who's to say movie theaters are even open? They're being very selfish, I think. I mean, yeah, I get it. You don't want to have a movie come out and bomb. You don't want it to do, make very, very little money. You're going to lose money on it. But this is a different year. This has never happened before. A lot of movies, I think, in order to really get the movie theater industry back up, they need to come together and they need to say, hey, we're going to lose money, but we need to release these movies now, and we need to start actually formalizing a schedule that we can have a bunch of big movies, all in, not necessarily in a row, but we need to fill up the calendar to get people back in. Again, as I've said, that's what Tenet was supposed to be. Tenet was supposed to be the first one, the pioneer that led everybody back into theaters, and then that would pave the way that, yeah, although it may not make its money back, although it may not make, $5, 6, 7, $800 million, I mean, it still made like 3 or 400 million, which isn't, it's not that amazing, considering, again, I think it lost quite a bit of money. I'm pretty sure I saw it needed to have made like 7 or 800 million to make all the money back. So yeah, it lost money, but the point was that Black Widow, that James Bond, that Wonder Woman, if you have all these movies come out in September, October, November, you start to really string it together, people will return. People will go back to theaters. If you're waiting for a vaccine, if you're waiting for things to just magically get better, or however you want to view it, movie theaters may not make it. So for Black Widow, I've always stood on. Now, I've stood on this when back in August, let's say, or back in July, when movie theaters were all starting to come back. Now, granted, and I do understand this, a lot of the New York City ones are not open, and that is a big money driver. A lot of the LA and a lot of the California theaters are not open, and that is a really, really big money driver too. So without those two, which is ironic, right? Because even a political kind of thing, California and New York are just so important, even though, it's just one area with a lot of people. I'm not criticizing the people that live there, but, without those theaters being open, I get it. Movies are hesitant to do it, but I would have said that when you had all these movie theaters start to open back up, back a couple months before, at this point, there's no movie theaters left, so it's harder now. I would have said, just for the love of God, release Black Widow and put it online. If it's at your theater, if your theater is open, because I even see people, in my own community, they say, hey, the theater closest to me, they aren't even open. But then do it both. Do the movie theater and do it also I'm not petitioning to do what Mulan did, because obviously that was disgusting and terrible, but in all honesty, it was a bad example because Mulan was awful. But there was a lot of other stuff with other, let's say, foreign governments, we can even say. I don't want to say the actual one. I'm too afraid for the channel. But no, Mulan was a very bad example of how you do that. I think that, yeah, in general, doing something like that with streaming is maybe not the greatest idea, especially when you do it on a streaming service that you've already paid money for. You're already paying monthly money for. So there were back-end issues too. You shouldn't be paying for it, or at least the way that they were doing it, all that kind of stuff. And the movie itself just wasn't, worth it. But if you want these movies to come out, I could see a world where that works. And to be quite honest with you, at this point in time, like even when movie theaters start to, like, I guess, revive themselves, if that even happens, that probably is the kind of world you're going to live in. There's probably going to be hundreds, if not thousands, across the world of movie theaters that were open, say, back in like February, that will now be closed permanently, and you're going to be losing a lot. And does that drive companies, okay, these publishers, to put their movies out not just in theaters, but if you don't have it, you could also just put out online as well, and so you give people the options. Now, I think that will hurt the movie-going experience even more. That'll hurt movie theaters even more unless they kind of like smarten up. And maybe they charge extra online. I mean, there's obviously a lot of different ways of doing it. Right now, again, I would have preferred Black Widow released in theaters. I think just in general, this is a terrible thing. A terrible collective mindset by not even the movie, like the movie theater chains, not even from them, because they're trying. I would say they're trying the best they can. The Hollywood elite, it's really them making these calls, and of course, as we've talked about multiple times, right? They, sitting, in their mansions, they're complaining about how boring it is. They're the ones who do not get hurt by this. I would say almost at all. They're still getting jobs. They're still doing stuff. It's going to be the workers. It's going to be, I guess, the long term of the movie going experience, which could hopefully, I guess, eventually hurt the big names, right? And I'm not trying to be too mean, but I mean, look, you don't see these guys. They tell you who to vote for, but they don't tell you, oh, we're going to donate hundreds of millions of dollars. We'll try and keep some of these movie theaters alive. You don't see them doing that. The only one who put their money where their mouth is actually Chris Nolan. He's the only one. And actually, sadly, in the worst possible way, it was kind of for nothing, because he tried his best. He was doing it, I would say, for a noble cause, and nobody else followed suit. He was kind of like a lone ranger, and nobody came with him. So, for Black Widow, again, I would have preferred it to only be in theaters, but I will say, with this they're not wrong. Like, if you put this on Disney Plus, you will get more Disney Plus subscribers. It's going to be a great thing for your streaming service. There's really the only reason, I don't even know why they would just keep delaying. I mean, I guess because they probably do know that they won't make their money back. And the other thing is, with Mulan, we know how bad. I mean, because remember, they were originally supposed to make Mulan free in like December. Now they're doing it, in like late October, early November. So, I mean, it's very clear Mulan bombed, that people did not buy it, or, I mean, people did, but then, a wide mass did not, and they did not make their money. Or maybe they just kind of, backed off and said, okay, we understand what we did was wrong. We'll give it to you for free even sooner. I think Mulan probably scares them, where it's like, if Black Widow did come out on Disney Plus or did come out streaming, they would probably want to charge for it, but I bet you they're a little unsure of how that would go. I will tell you that I don't think I would be mad if they did it. I would be disappointed, that as a collective group, they are not having movies released in theaters. But I think if you had Black Widow come out, again, you did the whole $30 thing, you could buy it, you could watch it. I mean, it's not the same as watching in theaters. I would much prefer to see Black Widow in theaters. That's how I thought I would see Black Widow, would be in theaters, but my TV's somewhat big. I would be paying $30, and I would have 3 people, I think, in all probably watching it. That would be around the price of a movie theater. I wouldn't have to pay for food or drinks or anything like that. So, I mean, I'm not saying there's not benefits. I'm not saying all streaming things are evil. It's just, if they want movie theaters to survive, I think you try and push that. But I do completely understand the whole Disney Plus pull. But again, I guarantee you the issue is they're probably unsure if they want to do it, only because they will almost definitely charge you for it. We will have to pay for the movie, and people already have a bad taste in their mouth because of Mulan. So we'll have to see how it all plays out. Honestly, it's a coin flip at this point. If more investors start getting on board with that guy's idea, maybe they get forced actually to do it on Disney Plus. So we'll see how it goes, but let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think? Do you think this movie will go straight to Disney Plus? Do you think it'll skip theaters? Do you think it should? Do you think that's a good idea? All that stuff, let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. And thank you all so much for watching. I truly, truly appreciate it. And I hope to see you all on the next video.